Finding the drill. My wife of less than 2 years, but together for 14 years, has decided to take on another lover. She has done this before with me walking in on her and a coworker both in their underwear in our 7th year of the relationship. We had an extended break, but I forgave, and we were married years later. Fast forward to married life, and my wife was growing distant as she had during the first infidelity. I attempted to source the issue, but she would be very vague about her feelings and had cut off physical relations for more than 6 months with lame excuses. I began to feel that something more was going on again. This time she was careless and was talking to someone on the phone with a man's voice I never heard before. I asked who it was and she told me it was her old girlfriend I knew well. I snooped and found out in the phone records a number that this person did not have. The number was called numerous times a day for as little as 2 minutes but up to 2 hours. She had numerous text messages back and forth, 50 plus a day. She also had at least 5 picture messages a day as well. When confronted, she admitted to having a new friend at work and she had been lying because she was afraid of what my reaction would be. So, after our little powwow, the calls decreased, but the texting increased to over 100 a day. Every time I pressed the issue, she lied. I began noticing she was disappearing from work at odd hours, nowhere to be found. She would always have bizarre excuses for cover. I had enough, so I installed the text tracking software on her phone. I was in for a shock, a constant "I see you when I close my eyes" lots of. Then she was having meetups with him at their place at work. I had the proof and I had a sit down, where she cried and rocked on the couch. She never admitted to anything. But nothing, I mean nothing, stopped the lying or the communication. So, for better or worse, I listened to online advice and approached her parents, friends, and the gentleman himself to let them know what my wife was doing, and I was wise to it. Of course, my extremely religious in-laws got her on the phone immediately, and she talked her way out of it. She did the same with the friends, and the other man never got back to me. All I wanted to do is stop the relationship and get her back to table to talk out her concerns and issues with the marriage. Because of this, my life has gone from bad to worse. All her side think I'm a nut stalker. My wife barely talks to me and berates me when alone. I have her begrudgingly agreed to seeing a counselor, but she keeps moving the goalpost on the first meeting and the conditions surrounding it. This leads me to my questions. Should I have released the text to the people I told via mail? Should I do so now that everyone thinks I'm nuts? I did not involve her HR and director as told in the advice to prevent his and her firing. Was I wrong not do so? Is it even worth the pain of reconnecting with estranged family and friends considering how she lied to cause this? Should I walk away knowing that she has the propensity to cheat on the drop of a hat? Should I just call it quits and lawyer up? Funny part is she makes 5 times the amount I do. If anything, I'll be taking the hit if we divorce, but it's just money. What I was asking is, did I go too gentle? Should I have been more aggressive and really have let the cat out of the bag by sharing her deceitful and sordid texts with her loved ones? Also, if I do make it to therapy with her, should I bring the texts with me? The telling others was not done out of malice. It was to, quote, open the windows and light up the relationship that thrived in the dark. I just wanted the lying to stop, and for her to approach therapy with wanting to work the problems through. Every time I approached her with more damning evidence and verifiable proof to the lies, she just got angrier and withdrew further. The telling friends and family were a Hail Mary to try to begin the process. She had no interest in joining. Maybe you're right and I should just move on, but without trying I will never have any closure or a clear conscience on my departure. She just needs to make her side of the decision, but until she breaks it off with the man at work, she will always be conflicted. Yes, I thought it was just the 7-year itch. We went our ways, and I got involved with a mentally unstable woman that scared me back when her relationship ended due to his infidelity within a month and a half of their being together. I felt sorry for her, and it took some time, but I never questioned her devotion until this happened. Marriage also lulled me into thinking that it would not happen again. Things were going good for a while, and then the 7-year itch bit again. Now I know she is a serial cheater and will not be dumb enough to forgive so quickly if things work out. But I'm also afraid if I come down on her with friendships going forward, she will only resent and push her further away. It's a catch-22. I'm also a hopeless romantic and perennial optimist, a dangerous combination with this. She is telling me that everyone is telling her to divorce me. I honestly don't know what she is telling them, or if it's true at all. What I do know is that I can no longer speak to them about the situation considering how it all went down. I get the feeling that I'm being cut out of her life systematically, and when the time is right, she is going to pull the board out from under me and move on to her happy life with the new man that she still will not admit to. I would think that people would see that it's weird that she divorces her husband to only end up with the one that they were told she was cheating with, but people only see what they want to. Never underestimate the power of stupidity. I'm such a sap. I apologize for telling everyone about the relationship. All she could say is that everything she said to him was taken out of context. I don't know I could take anything she said out of context, but she just keeps finding new ways to explain away what she has done. She keeps putting the whole blame on me. How I ruined everything in her life because I told everyone. How she can't work out our issues because she has to deal with everyone else. How I was the reason she started feeling unfulfilled in the marriage. All problems point to me. I'm thinking it's a serious case of deflection, but between the constant barrage of guilt from her, some major head games, and major self-introspection and overthinking, I'm starting to lose my mind and see the problem as 100% my own and not hers. I'm being manipulated into believing her story. Maybe I'm just holding on to this image I have of her. As for the serial cheating thing, it is still just sinking in. I honestly thought when it first happened that it was just her growing up. Now I'm not so sure. The thing that is really bothering me is that it's turning into a resentment battle between our two families. I understand that my family and friends have my back, but they all want blood. I seem to be the calmest of the bunch right now. I don't know if it's because I'm delusional or just in shock. In any case, I'm going to try my best to make the therapy thing work. But as you said, if she doesn't get the need to change her stripes and start to see some fault in the whole thing, it will never work. It's just if my releasing the information to everyone is a face saver, or will I just be looking like I'm also looking for blood? She has always been a cold person, but I have never known her to be so heartless and emotional towards me. I guess she has already made up her mind. I guess I just need to hear it from her own mouth. Any chances she will do so in therapy? Has anyone out there have the cheater break down their wall and just call it quits in therapy? I'm in my mid-30s. Yes, I know she isn't the only one out there, nor is she the first serious relationship I have had that ended with the other person cheating, but I will find another. To answer your second question, she is his direct supervisor, so when HR gets the info, both are immediately terminated. This is why she keeps trying to get all digital and physical copies. I keep seeing her snooping around the computers and my papers, but it's all stowed away on the cloud far from her hands. I didn't think it was worth the karma having someone fired to fulfill my anger, but maybe I will be doing her favor by allowing them to have their relationship out in the open without fear of discovery and termination. Third, alimony isn't happening. Living in a no-fault state and already told by a lawyer minimum marriage to receive alimony is 10 years. He also told me to tough it out for the next 8 years and then divorce, but I could never live with myself for that long. I was hoping that she would see the error in her ways, but from what I have learned is that once a cheater, always a cheater, and regardless of if the truth landed on her face and did a dance, she's too self-absorbed into her own happiness to care about mine. Maybe what I really needed was a slap on the face to get me back to reality. It's going to suck, but hey, in a year I should have this behind me. I would love to go in with an ex to get what I want, but having been with her for 14 years and knowing her deal, the job calls for a scalpel. For better or worse, I'm going to use the joint therapy session to lay it all out there. I'm coming with copies of texts and phone calls and laying it out in front of her and the therapist. This will allow me to avoid a flying hand or verbal barrage with the F word punctuated with squeals and whimpering. This is what I typically get if I even bring up anything in the body of the texts. Followed by crying and then you're taking everything out of context. I now know there is no way to appeal to her higher cognitive functioning. So, in front of the therapist, I'm going to tell her my demands. No wavering, and no way for her to wiggle out like she is used to. I am also going to ask her to pack a bag and stay with her parents or him if that is what she wants. I also am shuffling my retirement to come up with the scratch for the lawyer's retainer. She played with fire and she used up her last extinguisher in my mind. Unfortunately, she is too self-absorbed to learn from this, and it may take her second or third divorce before she finally gets it. I think she is going to pull out of therapy and will run from the situation. I will then have no qualms in ending the relationship, having tried to make it work. At that point, I will also have no issue in cutting off his number from our joint cell account. I will also have no issue in sending copies of the text and letter to her director and HR department. I figure one, if not both, will be fired due to their zero-tolerance policy on staff having relationships, especially since she is his direct supervisor. I will also have no issue in moving forward with having the lawyer file the official papers for our legal separation. She's not going to change her stripes, and I'm a fool for thinking that she ever would. I for one feel sorry for the therapist, who is in effect just going to be a referee at the end of marriage. I have already formulated the exit plan. I have most of the pieces in place. What I do need is to be right now. Maybe it's a bit childish, but I cannot leave with her having the upper hand in the situation. I hate to lose, but a loss like this I will not stand by. That is why I have pushed my chess pieces the way I have to force her into a checkmate move. It may be only a temporary and small victory, but alas, it is mine just the same. Here's the update. We did our first joint MC session and it went horrible. So, my wife immediately went on about how she felt for years, mind you we got married 2 years ago, that the relationship was failing, that she had no feeling for me anymore and that she was forced into cheating. When the counselor asked how serious each of us were in reconciliation, I told her that I was committed. My wife would not answer. When pressed, she said she is confused. The therapist said that it is impossible for a threesome to go through therapy, and she needed to drop the boyfriend. She said she won't. Besides this, she lied multiple times about things that she has already admitted to. It got a little heated and the therapist refuses to move forward with CT without having multiple single sessions first, and for the wife to drop the boyfriend. When pressed further about why not leaving the marriage if she insists on keeping the BF, the response was that I have a wonderful husband that I cannot find anything wrong with except small things. When the therapist called her out on hypocrisy of that statement, she stated that the BFs provide her something that I do not have that she is craving. After that, what I am craving is a divorce. I have never seen someone so unremorseful outside of Aj in my life. She has said in private she refuses to end her relationship with the and she will not a divorce. I am so utterly confused here. What is going on here? She is caught, she admits to the relationship, and she still will not pull the trigger on divorce. Is this just suicide by police? Does she need for me to be the bad guy in this? I wish she would just end the hurt and end the marriage. Does she need to keep me on the line because she really doesn't want to be with the or is it that she is deriving some pleasure in watching me wither away physically, mentally, and emotionally? Has anyone had a cheating spouse ever do this to them? What was the outcome? She is only the latest in a long list of girls who have cheated on me. I know I am the only one to blame for being walked on the way that I am, but it's my lot in life. I have begun the 180. I attempted to move my clothes into the guest room to remove myself from the same bed. Unfortunately, the closet hasn't any hanger bar. So, this weekend I'm going out and buying a wardrobe. I spoke with a number of lawyers who want way more than I have in savings as a retainer. I'm being pushed by them to marriage mediation at a great savings to traditional divorce. Has anyone tried this? Does anyone think out there that my wife will be honorable enough to go through a mediator? I want to thank everyone for their help through this. Just letting you know that we are 4 days since the MC session and her calling and texting has doubled to the I guess she has made up her mind, and to save my sanity I have no choice but to divorce. She is beyond a type of personality, and it really is all about control. She has always controlled me in the relationship through a number of tactics, but this is what is throwing her in a tizzy when I start to do stuff outside of her purview. This also why her interest in a younger subordinate, much easier for her to puppet master. This is also why she has no interest in me anymore. She has complete control over me, and therefore boring. I really have been a dumbass to think that I could have her kneel before common sense and reason. I have but no choice but to go full 180 and pick up the pieces as they lay. I really want to know though what the hell she is going to get out of therapy if she has now intentions of righting her wrong. All well, maybe next time I'll get it right. Knowing her, she will never be broken. Despite being caught, friends and family knowing that she is a cheater, and told by the MC to drop the boyfriend, she still maintains communication and refuses to stop it. She is a conductor of a runaway train very much asleep at the controls. She is beyond distant at this point, and the only emotion I get from her is anger, if at all. The only time she shows any remorse or sadness is when the dissolution of the assets of the marriage is discussed. It's pretty bad that the wine collection gets a tear, and I don't. She is a lost cause, and despite what I may have thought at the beginning of this journey, she is lost and not the person I ever knew. Even if she decides suddenly to come back, I don't know if I want her back after what she has put me through, and of the likelihood of her just doing this again with him or some other lackey she is in charge of. It's been a roller coaster for the last 14 years, and 2 years of the marriage, but like all good times, this one has come to its end. I'm telling my intentions of divorce to the MC and have begun the paperwork for a legal separation. She has had her chance, and alas, I cannot remain on the outskirts of her life as she drifts through the fog of her affair. Your actions have consequences, and now is the time for the reckoning. He is only 25 and I'm 35, so there is a world of difference between those two ages. He seems to be immature and thinks he has the world by its balls. Unfortunately, he and my wife are both losing their employment because of their stupidity, so life lesson learned for the young lad. Also, in the field they both work, this will follow them anywhere they try to get employment, so I do feel kind of bad for him. That is why I resisted so long in disclosure to their job. As for the divorce thing, I'm starting to catch a whiff of the knockout, drag-out war it is going to be. Her best friend is a lawyer and spends almost as much time talking to the as her now that I know about the affair. She also seems to throw threats at me like I pay the mortgage, so you have to move out. The credit cards you have with all the debt incurred while you paid my way through school, I didn't ask you to do that, or you can't split up the dogs, so I get them both. So not only is she getting to have an affair that I forced her into, but she gets to keep the house, the stuff in it, and leave me with all the debt. Class act she is. So yeah, my lawyer said I'm going to get hosed since we weren't married for 10 years, and the debt I can always declare bankruptcy on and deal with credit issues for 7 years. Isn't life grand that in the end she gets to hold all the cards because I was dumb enough to love her and help pay her way through medical school? Life lesson learned. I have been attempting the 180, but with the hurricane and 2 weeks without power, it has been very hard to be detached while under the same roof. Now that things are normalizing and I can get my wardrobe for clothing, I'm moving to another room this week. She can also stop making honeydew lists for me as well. I'm not Alice or Rosie. She can pay someone to clean her own room, to do her wash, and to take her car for washing. I will be hospitable, but I will no longer make and put diner aside for her. I will not go to the dry cleaners and pick up her stuff. I will not go to her parents and help them do yard work or construction. She has lost those privileges, and I have always had a hard time saying no to anyone who has asked for my help, but no is word she is going to have to get used to in my vocabulary. So, everyone knows that my marriage is ending, and that me and my wife haven't been intimate for over 6 months. All she is when around me is angry, and she refuses to stop contact with the OM. Enough said, right? Nope. So, I just found out that my wife has booked in the last week a getaway weekend with 2 other couples in a coming weekend. The people that she invited are all my best friends I have known long before her. The place only has 3 bedrooms, so we will need to share a bed. Why in the name of all that is holy would she do this? The people who will be there all know the story about us, and she knows it. Is she flipping her lid here, or is there some Machiavellian scheme here that she will get out of doing this? I am completely lost. What does everyone out there think she is trying to accomplish by doing this? I keep telling myself when this is all well and done, at least I will be the one who will be able to sleep at night and look myself in the mirror. I don't know if the narcissism will wear off long enough for her to see what she has done and become in all of this, but hey, I can dream. I'm a romantic and dumb. A dangerous combo. We had a break when I discovered her last time, and I had 2 rather disastrous rebound relationships. I was scared straight back to her. She was always there in the background calling and texting me. Now looking back, she is probably the reason the one relationship had ended. I was forthcoming with what was going on. I don't blame her for leaving. So now here I am alone, scarred, and have a crying woman at my feet who I was still not over, and I bought her BS hook, line, and sinker. Then things progressed and got better, and I proposed. Also, in hindsight, I think she got off on me being with another girl while she was doing this, and I now realize that she needed money and I was always willing to shower her with it. So, I got used, and have wasted the last 7 years of my life. Oh well, she doesn't know about my information release. I mentioned it once during D-Day, but she freaked and told me that I have no idea what she would do to me if I did that. I backed off and never mentioned it again. I don't know if this would be the first thing she would want to accomplish by doing this. My taxation lawyer friend thinks she is trying to have me let my guard down and have a false R so that I will sleep with her to take divorce for adultery off the table to make a better case for her in court. Then again, he is a lawyer, so he would think that way. I am in the process of moving everything out of our room to sleep in the guest room. I guess I really need to be vigilant about this. Does anyone know if she can lie about bonding to avoid paying in the divorce proceedings? If so, is the only defense moving off the premises? I haven't exposed to her HR just yet. I really don't have the killer instinct, and I really can't if her and the OM lose their jobs on my account. Also, I have a meeting with the MC on Weds by myself. I want to run it by her before I go all scorched earth. Also, for those of you wondering who initiated the get-together, it was my friends that started the ball rolling, and who all said that they want us to work it out when I had told them about the EA, PA. The WW is OCD to a fault and always is the planner for all these gatherings. I guess everyone just fell on old habits and involved her from the get-go. I spoke with my one friend already who says that I should go despite the awkwardness of it all. I told him there may be legal ramifications if I do go to with them, and he felt that it was a bit too much. In any case, I think I am going to wait to the last minute and pull out then. This way, if she had any other plans or schemes, she will be tied to them in the end. So, after some more digital snooping, I discovered another EA, going back to 2009 that's still going on when he gets into my area. I am so done. I'm out. So, I just had it out with her. She had left her laptop in sustain mode and left open an email account I never saw before. All she could say was that I'm so very sorry over and over. Not only is she having another EA, but he doesn't even know her real name. She is using a pseudonym with him. Why in hell would someone do that? I haven't exposed to her work yet as per instructions from both my MC and lawyer. Both feel that having her fired is going to make any chance of receiving what alimony I maybe do much harder. I did go subversive though. I forwarded the I love you emails of both guys to each other from the WW. The 2 guys can fight it out with her on what the hell is she doing there. I figure even if they know she is married and they are cheating on me, they won't stand not being special since both seem very wrapped up on their unique situation with her. Maybe I could have gotten through one affair, but 2 in as many months with so many layers of lies and subterfuge, I'm out. I'm just waiting to find out if there are any bodies hidden in yard, or if she is a nationally ranked MMA fighter. Each layer I peel back, the more bizarre the whole thing becomes. I have been a dupe of the first order, and I have no one to blame for that than myself. I'm never getting married again. What hell is wrong with me to be so wrong? The update. Sorry, haven't been around since I have been dealing with a whole lot that last couple of days. So, as I said in an earlier post, I got in contact with the last OM and let him know that my WW was sick and needed help. He promptly sent that email back to my wife with I'm out. So, I returned to my home after the OM breaks it with my WW. I have never seen such anger and frustration in another human being. She just sat there seething, and the only words that came out of her mouth were grunts when she was asked questions. At first, I thought she had a psychotic break. After a while she started talking and eventually brought up the email and the OM ending the relationship. The only concern she brought up over and over was how disrespectful it was that I contacted him, and how horrible he must feel after being told this. When I called her out on caring more about the feelings of her boyfriend over her husband, she just shut down. She also mentioned how she was ending the relationship that day, and I had beat her to the punch, so not to gloat over the ending of the relationship. So, there was one thing she asked at the end of all this anger and hate coming out of her mouth that really hit me like a ton of bricks. Now that you got what you want, now what? It then dawned on me I have been so caught up in bringing the truth to light and the ending of the affair, I have no clue what the hell I want to do next. Can I ever trust this woman again? And now in her new shell of woman that I once knew, will things ever normalize considering how things ended? Will she resent me for ending the relationship for her? So, what is everyone's take on this? Do you think that things got so out of hand and I was so consumed in getting her back that I disregarded the obvious choice of leaving her? I am so utterly confused now. I will be the first to admit that I have a savior complex. Now that she is at her lowest, I don't know how I could leave her, but in the same token, after all the BS she has put me through, I don't know how I could stay with her. It's one thing to say I'm out when the other person is still hurting you so much, but it's an entirely different animal when the person is hurting so much of themselves. I'm beyond conflicted at this point. I knew she was being defensive and also being very much in face about look at what you've done, so what now, smart boy? I think she needs some time to simmer in her own juices here, but I really do think she is actually now moving towards divorce. It's just a waiting game at this point. Also, does she get any benefit by filing for divorce first instead of me? Didn't she think that all the lying was going to catch up to her? She implicitly agreed that it was only a matter of time before the unraveling. She then started making snide comments and belittling the fact. Stated that everything she did was wrong and everything I do is 110% right, kept interjecting with peanut gallery comments. It was almost like I was a comedian on stage with a drunk, angry heckler in the crowd. I am distancing myself every day from her. I have already told her that if she doesn't begin to show signs of improvement, I was out. Since I have always been a soft touch with her, I guess she doesn't believe me, and she still can't believe I had the balls to tell her family and friends about the affair. She was still able to keep controlling the situation after that, so she began to settle into her pattern with again. This time I went and emailed the and now both want nothing to do with a woman who is insane enough to not only cheat on her husband, but to cheat on the as well. Just found out that not even 24 hours after all this has happened, she is already fishing for him to contact her on email. I can't believe she keeps leaving her account up on the computer. I really do think she wants to be caught. He hasn't bit yet, so I think I ended it between the two of them, but if she can't even cool her jets for 24 hours without this guy, it's over. So long and goodbye. What sick does someone have to be that in the midst of the maelstrom of the last 2 days, her first thought was to try to keep the relationship with the alive? Divorce, here I come. 35 and divorced, who thought? She won't cause a scene at work. She is very much tied to appearances. Everything has to be the best. Everything in her world has to be perfect and ordered. She would never have a scene at work because of that. That is why she never really ever loved me. I was never enough for her. MC says she has a fractured self, and her identity only comes from those around her. She needs constant praise and adulation from those around her. That is why she took on so many men in her life. Now it is showing for the facade it has always been, and she is lashing out at me, the person who broke the wall in front of the mirror. Sucks, doesn't it? She is a serial cheater and manipulator. She has mentioned divorce 2 times in as many days, and when I am in complete agreement of her thoughts on the subject, she backs off and changes the subject. I think she is testing the waters to see how far I am willing to go. What she doesn't know is that I'm in the process of cashing in my retirement to get the money to pay for the lawyer. She is not the woman I married in my mind. I married someone so vile that I cannot wrap my head around how wrong I was in choosing this woman to be my wife. Then again, hindsight is 20/20, so live and learn. P.S. She did come on the weekend getaway. She was fake nice to the friends as if nothing is going on between the two of us. To me, she was cold as ice. I attempted to talk to her during my long drive to the place we were going, and on the way back. As soon as I began to talk, she would then turn her head and stare out the window. She has become as petulant as a 3-year-old. Well, I had a good time despite her BS. I think that will be the last time friends ever see me and my WW in the same place. I know I shouldn't come too hard about this, but if I can be this wrong about this person, what hell else have my eyes been closed over? I am beginning to settle into the idea that I will be alone for a while the divorce proceeds. I am also realizing that it is most likely for the best that I am getting the divorce. What truly scares me is the dating scene and trying to look for someone after becoming damaged goods. I know that 50% of marriages end in divorce, but I never counted on myself being a part of that statistic. So, I have been religious about the gym and have been excited about taking care of myself. Complacency got me into this in the first place. I will never let it happen to me again. So, I moved all my stuff out of the main bedroom and have taken over the guest room and bathroom. Not as comfy as my old bed, but it will suffice till the divorce. WW very angry at me. Asked what brought this on. My answer was having you been asleep for the last 3 months. She has broken the NC in less than 72 hours. After the silence and petty questions, she went to bed. All I heard was her sobbing and crying a better part of the night. Is this normal, or is she trying to play on my emotions here? My comment: she's crying because you took away her cake. She no doubt now realizes that she is going to have to face real consequences for her behavior from a man, and that man will do whatever is necessary to bring closure on this sorry state of affairs the way he sees fit. Her pathetic little cake-eating double life is starting to crash down around her. Go after her. Go after the OM. Let people know you are prepared to protect what you feel are your rights. My comment: Part 2 ending will come tomorrow. Let me know what you learned from this one. And do you think OP will give you the ending you desire?